right, good morning. My name is Nicole Neal and I am the CEO of Noodle Markets, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about better K-12 purchasing. So I always like to start with the facts. And the first fact is that K-12 education is big business. Not a surprise, it's the reason why we're all here. If we look at the BMO Capital Markets report in 2016, it reached $700 billion. Now, I love numbers, so we take that $700 billion and we subtract out about 70%, which is salaries, benefits, and capital outlays. We get about $491 billion. And then the remaining is $209 billion. So we take that $209 billion and we divide that by 180, which is the average number of instructional days. That means that $1.2 billion is spent on non-salary benefits. It's a lot of money being spent on products, services, capital improvements, et cetera. And so the question becomes, if we have all of this money to spend on K-12 purchasing, why aren't the right products getting into the hands of teachers that need them? And what's broken? So let's talk about that. Number one is that the procurement processes and rules and regulations have not changed in over 2 decades. I've done this research. I've talked to procurement officers that have said, Nicole, nothing has changed in 25 years. So what that means is that we have a lot of archaic paper-based processes, and that really leads to a huge lag in getting the best of anything into the classroom. And then what are stakeholders saying? Well, administrators, 43% of administrators say they're unhappy with the amount of time that it takes to get products through the procurement process. 68% say that they're unhappy with the evaluation process that takes place by the time the products get into their hands. And 72% of providers say that the time that it takes for them to actually win business is excruciating. It's hard. And in many cases, it leads to many vendors going out of business. You can't wait 18 months for a district to make a decision. Even 9 months is a long time. One of the other issues is that there's not a de facto place that educators can go to research products and services that tie to purchasing. They can go to spots that talk about ratings and reviews, but once they get that information, they've got to leave and go to another site. And then these conferences kind of prove that there are a lot of vendors that look alike. Everyone is saying that they're moving the meter, and how do you really differentiate the vendors and what's working and what's not working? And then the other thing which is true is that educators just don't trust vendors. And so according to Education Week, 92% of ed tech purchases are made by word of mouth. 92%. So it's not based on data. What a superintendent or a purchasing person does is they pick up the phone and they call the neighboring district and they say, hey, did this work? And they make a decision based on that, whether it meets the demographics in their classroom or not. And then the bottom line is that the products end up on the shelf, right? So a large amount of that $209 billion is wasted, and we know what happens then. Is that if the teachers don't get the tools they need, they can't help students, and then students lag behind. So when we created Noodle Markets, we really had this vision of creating this de facto place that educators could go to research products and services and then be able to make a buying decision, connect that to buying. We also wanted to create a place where vendors we could help them level the playing field, create comprehensive profiles, and be able to allow them to demo their products and services so that educators could kind of increase their buying IQ. And then we really wanted to tie all of that into reducing operational expenses. So moving from the paper-based system, and digitizing processes using, technology. So that's what Noodle Markets is. A couple of different things. Number one, it's a market network. So we believe that there needs to be conversations around what's working. And so we've created this social network where teachers and purchasers can kind of talk about what's working and research products and services, and then move that to the point where they can make a decision about purchasing a product. And then, as I mentioned, we created state-of-the-art procurement tools that kind of take that 9-month process and cut it in half by using technology that you embed within the school district and help them streamline the creation of a competitive solicitation, the issuing of a competitive solicitation, managing all of the evaluations that come in. Today, if I have a solicitation, a learning management system, and I have 10 vendors submit, they might submit 100-page documents, and they required to give 10 copies of a 100-page document. And then we really expect evaluators to sit in a room and review hundreds of pages of 10. It's very difficult and very time consuming. So we digitized that process. The other thing that we did was we said it's not just competitive solicitations or competitive bids. There are competitive quotes that are tied to federal rules and regulations around how you spend Title I dollars or any kind of federal funding. And so we could create a system where you could quickly get competitive quotes, then we could save time and also help with compliance reporting. And then finally, because we've spent the last several years kind of talking to districts, we've learned a lot about how purchasing happens. And so we really offer some purchasing expertise as we go into districts and help them streamline the process. Wow. I gotta go fast. So Noodle Markets, we've got competitive, comprehensive profiles. If you can see here, we have the ability, educator goes in, searches for cameras. They can tag vendors as they're going in, multiple vendors at the same time, and literally push a button and send an email to 3 vendors and say, give me a quote. The vendor goes into our system, responds to that quote, and then the educator gets that quote and can review that very quickly. We also have multi-category search, so you can expand the number of vendors that you're trying to reach. We we also put reviews in there because we realize that there is that peer factor. So we put third-party reviews in here, and then we allow users to talk to each other about what's working. And approved vendor list was a big thing that districts were asking for. So we not only tag the 33,000 products that we have, we allow districts to differentiate those vendors that are already on their approved list. And then we go as far as helping them manage that contract so that you can communicate that you've already spent time negotiating pricing and making sure that your purchasers know about that pricing. Very quickly, so that's our digital procurement tool. Flying through some of this stuff. We also have a piggyback marketplace. We realize that alternative purchasing happens. People want to avoid big solicitations. We've got an analytics dashboard that allows you to view all of the purchasing that happens. We've had several users love the system. They're saving money and saving time. Districts need us to provide visibility, more competition, compliance reporting. As I mentioned, we've got about 33,000 products in our database, 4,000 vendors registered, 600 school districts, and 35 states. We do like 50% split between public and charter schools. And we started our pricing model out with it being a vendor-paid model. We've shifted because we've gained so much information and provide so many tools to districts. So it starts at $60K per year and gets smaller. We have a wonderful team. John Katzman is co-founder with me. Also, the former head of Pearson is on my board, and Rick Siegel, Rethink Education, is a big investor. And last but not least, it matters. K-12 purchasing matters. If we don't start getting the more efficient processes, we can't help students. And if we can't help students, we can't make sure that there's a better education for all. Thank you.